We built this campaign there, and then a lot of us had been, or few of us, in beginning of 1982, me, a few other people, had got involved with the Conscientious Objector Support Group, which had been formed around the objections of people like Richard Steele and Peter Moll and others. And they were mainly, not exclusively, but mainly pacifist Christians. Some were sort of just war Christians, but they were kind of Christian group. And so we came in, and we were these young students, but we had this big vision. And in some ways there was a bit of a tension there, because we were coming with different agendas. We were quite open about our agenda. We wanted a movement against the military. But I kind of admired them, because I admired, they were there for these objectors. They were supporting them. They'd been there the whole time, They were in for the long haul, and they had principles. They kind of admired us, I think, because we had this vision. Anyway, we got it together, but these student radicals and these Christian pacifists, and they had a big in 1993. They had their national conference of Conscientious Objector Support Group, and it was there that the idea of an end conscription campaign was launched. Its public launch was a year later in 84, but we started then building branches. So what happened was then I was sent, in a way, went to Joburg, and my role I was given by the ANC was to work quietly on building support for an anti-military movement. Anyway, what happened was, a few months later, this was just shortly before the launch of the UDF, there was a guy called Carl Niehaus. And he was a vague friend of mine. It wasn't someone I worked with closely at all. But what happened was, Newsas had suspected him of being a spy, and so he'd been kind of isolated. And they suspected another guy called Rob Whitecross of being a spy, and so he was isolated. The trouble was that Carl Niehaus wasn't a spy at all, but Rob Whitecross was, and they found each other. So, and Niehaus was somebody who didn't have much strategic sense. So they wanted to he wanted to bomb the gasworks and things like that. And he had all sorts of plans, which of course Rob Whitecross knew all about and was passing on to security. So they arrested them, and they then went on a raid of various houses. And I happened to be staying in a house with a guy called Mike Roussos, and they wanted him. They wanted to go through his stuff. So then I was detained, because I happened to be there at the time, and they wanted to get into his room, and I wouldn't give them the keys, and then they assaulted me and shoved me against the wall and throttled me and this kind of thing. And anyway, I wouldn't give them the keys. So then they detained me, and they put me in handcuffs, and I was taken off, and I thought, well, okay, that's the end of my low profile. It lasted, 4 months or something. And after that, then I was questioned and released, because it was quite bizarre. Carl Niehaus and I we crossed paths, and we both winked at each other, and then he went to jail for 10 years, and I was released several hours later.